Hello, everybody. This is Megan,
And this is Alana.
and welcome to Tea Time Crimes.
Halloween edition.
Last one.
Last one.
Hello, hello. How are you this lovely
Buenos
morning?
dias. It's
Oh.
a beautiful day.
Beautiful fall day.
Yeah. Did you know that I've waited so long in the season to have candy corn? And I finally had some.
Just out of curiosity, were you waiting because of some weird rule that you...
No, it just has been so crazy. I haven't focused on it, but I watched some Hocus Pocus and had some candy corn.
I'm just really swamped at work. I couldn't possibly open this bag of candy corn. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to schedule some time in.
Yeah, I penciled in a 15-minute.
From 9 to 9:01, I'm going to rip open this bag and then enjoy it while I multitask.
Correct.
You're nuts. Well, let's see. I got lots of updates. Probably a heavy banter episode.
Yeah, so watch out, Gary.
So Gary, I can't promise I won't talk about maple syrup, but if I do, just know what you're in for now that you're probably a lifelong fan. Is that even his name?
We're talking about our 1-star review, which was so accurate. It was so good.
Gary is not a liar. Gary is a man of the truth because we did talk about maple syrup. There was no true crime in the first 10 minutes.
No.
That's for sure. But I mean, a lot of that's a tea review, which is in the name.
Yes, it is. So
but also, we like to gab. We don't see each other all week. So this is it.
I know.
You're in the circle if you're listening. You're just hearing us catch up besides some of Alana's crazy Marco Polos that I do get during the week. But
yes.
Yeah, so we had a trip to Salem, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so fun. I've never gone, even though I grew up in New England.
Really?
I've never been to Salem. And I've always wanted to go. And so we went to Boston and went to Salem and we had the best time. It's just a cool city. I want to go back. October is obviously insanity because that's when everybody wants to go. That's just when we happened to go and it worked out cool. But they have other things open throughout the year. And I do want to mention, if you do go with kids, we went on a walking tour, Salem Kids Tours, and it's led by a 6th grade teacher. Her name is Alicia.
Oh, that's perfect.
She's awesome. So if you do go, book that. And she talks about the history, but she is just the perfect teacher vibe.
Yeah, that's so fun.
So she's telling kid-appropriate ghost stories, and she's telling you about the houses and who used to live there, and you got to kind of walk through some of the most beautiful streets in Salem. So I'll put the link if you guys do happen to be in the area. Check it out. But also, foster update. I may have crossed a line into just total catdom because I bought a clear bubble backpack and I put one of my foster kittens in it, and then I took it to a school function and was like, let's do this.
Use the kids. That's what you got to do. Do every technique possible.
I got to find this cat a home. Got to. So I walked around like a pregnant lady. I put it in front so I could see him.
Yeah.
Like a pregnant woman with a cat. And it was a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And he's a cool cat, so I knew he'd be fine. I took him out tons of times and let people pet him, and kids were swarming me.
Amazing.
So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I did have him attached inside, so nobody worry.
Yeah.
He had a harness and a leash on, which he hated.
Yeah.
Well, only if he was walking. If he was walking, he thought, what is this?
Yeah.
But he was fine inside it. I had that and him attached, so he couldn't get out of the carrier. But anyway, exciting stuff happening over here. What about you?
Seriously. What about me? Just candy corn and changing leaves.
No maple syrup. We want to make sure we're hitting all our fans.
Well, the maple tree outside my window in my office is turning this beautiful shade of red. So appreciating that.
Perfect.
I better go tap it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should. You should. All right. Well, I brought you back some teas from Salem, didn't I?
You did. You sent me such a little cute package of tea. So today I have the Kettle Corn black tea.
Ooh, you're going with the weird one.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah, what's the company again?
It's DM and Co.
I forgot everything about it. But I asked the lady, what's your most popular and what's your weirdest? And she gave me a sample of the weirdest.
I just love the weird.
I knew you would.
It smells really good. Okay, so festivals, fairs, and carnivals are not complete without experiencing the flavor of kettle corn. Our blend starts off with a celebratory amount of sweetness that turns into a delightfully toasted, buttery mouthfeel at the end of each sip.
I hate that.
We enjoy ours with milk.
Mouthfeel really upset me.
I know. That's why I really dragged it.
Yeah, that's why you really let that one vibe.
So it definitely smells like buttery popcorn.
I don't know that I want to drink buttery popcorn, but okay.
But because you're thinking of soggy popcorn and that's gross.
Okay, I do like butter though. I am very generous with my butter, just like my milk. I'm really just generous in the dairy department.
I mean, it's a good way to be generous. Smells so good. Ooh, okay. It's good. It's like
it's good, period.
It's good. That's the rating. No, it's a nice body. I'd say it's an average body. We're not quite petite. We're not quite full, but it's somewhere in the middle there.
Just a mid-sized queen.
Yeah, it just kind of invites you in, says like, come on in the haunted house. We have some treats. And hold on. You can like smell like a caramel as you're getting into it. And it's like you're just going into this, I don't know, like this maze. And you're having this person bring you in and it just smells like caramel and butter and you like just lose yourself in it.
And now hear M&M's Lose Yourself in the Butter. Weird Al.
Hell
parody.
Yes. This is really good. This is getting a buttery thumbs up. It's reminding me of butterbeer from Harry Potter, but not too sweet.
Reference is lost on me, but cool. Yeah. They have a website, yes, as well as a location in Salem that I went to, which was super cute.
So you can buy online. I will definitely be checking out more of their stuff. You got me 2 other teas I'm very excited to try.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I let my kiddo pick one for you, and he just went with the weirdest name.
Yeah.
Because,
Into it. Yeah, I'm very... They know how to blend a tea, because you can really screw this up.
yeah, you could. Now. It could taste like movie theater butter machine if they went wrong.
No, this is wonderful.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Did you put milk in it as they suggested?
I did. I put a little bit more than a dash, but less than I would in my normal Irish breakfast. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have gone with more. When they recommended tea, I would have said perfect. So half and half. Half milk.
I'm going to cry.
Half milk, half tea. Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today, because it's our last Spooky Wookie, we're being pretty free with the sources that we're using today.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Let's go.
We're mostly talking about ghosts and hauntings.
Oh, shit.
I went to Salem fully expecting there to be so many ghost stories. I couldn't find my way out of them. But there really weren't as many as I thought, especially around the, females I was looking for. But
is it more witchy?
Someday I'm going to cover the Salem witch trials because it was amazing to see the monument and hear about them. And we did so many little tours. It was so...
Yeah, I need to go down there.
You do.
Maybe I'll do a drive this week before the time is up.
Well, you can go anytime and they'll still have all that stuff.
That's true. They don't tear down the monuments after October 31st.
No, the cemetery from the 1600s remains. Yeah. They don't move it. It's not a moving exhibit.
So weird.
Yeah. They also have a pirate museum that you would love that has actual artifacts from a ship recovered off of the coast of Cape Cod. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and it tells their story.
I want to know everything.
You would really like it. It tells the story of 4 of the people on board that they followed, and then what happened when the ship wrecked, and then what happened to them afterwards because they had some legal troubles.
Oh.
Being pirates and all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Salem's amazing. Go visit. But when we were in Boston, we were right by the Boston Common. And honestly, that was scarier to me than any part of Salem. And so I started researching it.
What?
And that's where we're going to be today.
Okay. I don't know anything.
Boston Common has the distinction of being the first public park in America when Puritan colonists bought the land in 1634.
Really?
And each house in the area paid their portion of the 30-pound purchase price so that the land could be used as a common space for the livestock to graze.
Okay.
But this public park had a few more sinister things than just cows chewing on grass and, maybe an occasional picnic with
cow pies.
Puritan chaperones. It quickly became the grounds for Puritan punishments.
Oh.
So there was a whipping post. There was a pillory, which is the one where you stick your hands and heads in.
Okay, yep.
Or not heads, because you don't have multiple heads. Just the one head and the two hands go in.
Keep your other head out.
Two-headed monster. Next Halloween, meet me back here. You stick your head and hands in, for offenses like you were late to church.
What?
Ezekiel. Get in that, right?
Shit.
Yeah, and then
that all day.
Also the stocks, which is just holes for your feet. That way you have to sit up and people have to make eye contact with you and mock you.
Oh no, my worst fear.
No, but mock you while they're doing it. Like you can't avoid.
Like a roast?
Yeah, it's like a comedic roast while your feet are chained and you can't run away. And then, not only that, they also started doing executions there from
what a nice park.
The Great Elm. I know. Do you really want to call it a public park when you're like...
Yeah, this is not given a good name to parks.
You can sit on that bench over there, but heads up because an execution's happening at noon, so you want to clear out. Awful. And it also quickly became a makeshift cemetery for what they estimate to be thousands of bodies of people who became ill and they had nowhere to put the bodies or convicted criminals who they executed. And they
a mass grave?
Yeah, parts of it. Yeah. It was...
How lovely.
It was a scary vibe. Kiddo and I were looking out the window at it at night looking for ghosts because that was the energy.
Did you walk around?
We did during the day, but I have a story, but I'll wait till we get to it. It's going to freak you out. In 60, weird time. In 1660.
Time travel, it's back.
1660, a woman was put to death on the Great Elm, and she is thought to be seen walking the common today as a ghostly apparition.
Getting her steps in.
Well, she likes to stay fit. But this is an amazing story that you're actually going to like. Mary Dyer had traveled to Boston with her husband in 1632, and the couple had left England to escape religious persecution. So they get to Boston, they join the church in Boston, and then they quickly find themselves again in the midst of a contentious religious debate.
Oh, no.
That's meaning life or death for some people, because if you go against the church, it could be punishable by death.
The church goes against you.
Yeah. And Mary's friend, Anne Hutchinson, who is thought of as one of the first feminists, arrived in Boston in her 40s after giving birth to 12 children. So already respect for Anne.
Oh, ouch.
She was a midwife in the community.
She's like, might as well at this point.
She's like, I'm self-taught, so don't worry about it. I did not go to medical school, but I'm self-taught and have more practice than any of the doctors you're going to find. And from there, she knew everybody because everybody's having babies, or all the women are, obviously. And she started holding discussions about the Puritan sermons. All of this was fine until Anne started disagreeing with a few points here and there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. One, her belief that God spoke to everyone, that it wasn't just some weird game of telephone where only the leaders of the church could receive messages and then we had to rely on the translation.
Amen, sister.
Right. Two, women should have more rights.
Yep.
The church really hated that second one. That doesn't sound fun, Anne.
Power.
And they believed Anne should not be allowed to preach, especially to men. How dare she? Just FYI, Mr. Hutchinson fully supports his wife.
Hell yeah.
I know, right?
Look at you.
I know.
Ahead of his time.
And Mary was also vibing with this whole situation.
Let's go.
Yeah. The church, as you have guessed, was not into it.
Not their vibe.
No. They described Anne's meeting as, quote, promiscuous and filthy coming together of men and women.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. All of those words except for and and of really are annoying in that
Sign me
sentence.
up.
While this is going on, Mary happens to give birth to a stillborn infant. So trigger warning. The child was said to have been severely disfigured. Today, the hypothesis is that the baby probably had a fatal birth defect where the skull and the brain did not form.
Okay.
As well as spina bifida.
And that would have been caught real early in a normal today.
Yeah, more than likely. And the people in power
Oh, no.
believed that this was Mary's fault and a clear sign of her spiritual unfitness that had
It's just
caused the harm.
exhausting.
It's wild. It's wild. And Mary and her husband had tried to actually hide this because they
knew
it wouldn't be received well. They also
Right.
think about how they're feeling. It's not like they're secret scientists.
Yeah, they just lost a child.
They just lost a child. They have no idea why it was born that way. They don't know what's causing it. They don't know there's a scientific explanation. They're probably scared too. So they secretly buried the child. The church went so far as to exhume the body in front of a crowd.
That's so disrespectful.
I can't even begin to imagine how that must have felt for Mr. and Mrs. Dyer.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's wrong with it. So to them, it is a scary thing to see, to witness. And they describe it. I'm not going to repeat it, but you can see where this thread is happening now of fear and ignorance. With all of this going on, Mary, she's like, all right, I'm out. And she goes to Rhode Island. Her and Anne were actually banished. Anne first, and then Mary walked out with Anne, was like, peace, she's my girl. I'll catch you guys later. Mary eventually made her way back to England, where she became a Quaker. And a big part of her becoming a Quaker was because women had more freedoms than in Puritan society. And she even became a preacher.
Wait, I was just looking up Quakers versus Shakers. And one of them, they do, like, women are allowed to be leaders. Maybe both of them.
Yeah, there you go. And in 1657, Mary opted to leave England and head back to Boston to protest the laws against Quakers.
This is a lot of travel in this day and age. Like, that ship ride is rough.
They were cutting off ears.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you still hear when they do that? It just probably sounds different. Anyway, it's not important.
Yeah, it's a great question. I imagine there could be some damage to the eardrum. In 1658, she went back to Boston to visit two fellow Quaker missionaries, William Robinson, and brace yourself for this amazing name, Marmaduke Stevenson.
What? Yeah. Marmaduke?
Yeah. She was arrested when she went to visit them and banished a third time. She's already been kicked out twice because she keeps going back to raise a little awareness.
Isn't it funny? In America, it's supposed to be freedom from.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, you're right.
America isn't even America yet.
Yeah. We're a colony.
Yeah.
We're doing our best.
Those two men were captured again very quickly, and Mary just returns again to offer her support. This time, all three of them are sentenced to death, to which Mary was said to respond at her sentencing with, "Yea, joyfully I go." I think yay as
backwards,
in like nay and yay. Yes. Yeah. She said, "Cool, let's do this."
She did this.
Yeah. Alana's making a crude gesture. Mary's family is devastated, and her son, William Jr., makes a plea to the governor, and he's mostly playing up the angle of, you can't execute a woman, it won't look it won't look good.
God, every time.
Can't do it, don't do it. So the governor agrees to spare Mary's life, but not without teaching her a lesson first.
Oh no. In the park?
His brilliant jerk idea is to let her have a reprieve, but at the last possible moment, because he wants her to feel the noose around her neck and scare her to behave.
Oh, okay.
What he said was, she needs to experience the chill of death to get some sense in her head. Lovely. He's a fun man. They made Mary march the mile to her execution site, watch her two friends be hanged, and then they placed the rope around her neck before someone in the crowd yelled, "Stop." Mary refused to get down, saying, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready to suffer my punishment unless you change the laws." She used that moment to try and facilitate change.
God, I love her.
So she was not the grateful, quivering, compliant flower that the governor had been hoping for, and she had to forcibly be removed from Boston.
Suck on that.
Mary Dyer would not stay gone. She caught wind of the spin of these events, and she was furious because the powers that be were selling this as justified executions for her two friends, as well as an act of mercy on poor Mary Dyer. She was back in Boston by April 1660 to protest again.
Okay, how is she doing this?
That's what I'm saying. But this time there was no reprieve.
Uh-oh.
On June 1st, Mary Dyer walked the same mile to the gallows that she had walked before. Over the sounds of the drums, she yelled, "Nay, I cannot go back to Rhode Island, for in the will of the Lord I came, and in his will I abide faithful to death."
Go you.
Girl is committed.
Yeah. I love that.
Her last words were, "I have been in paradise for several days, and now I am about to enter eternal happiness." She was just so above what was going on physically. She was executed. There's debate on where. A lot of people believe she was executed in the Common, but there are some historians who say they think it was possibly a different execution site, but that's the general consensus, is that she was executed on that Great Elm. The following year after her death, a royal mandate was created that stopped execution of Quakers, and then the discussion of religious liberties was not too far behind. They were like, hey, maybe we should keep ears and heads intact and let... Do you remember why we all left England?
Right.
Might be repeating a pattern. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
And today, Mary can be seen in the northeast corner of the park as a statue.
Oh.
That sits in front of the State House.
Okay.
It's a beautiful statue. I actually saw it. But others have reported to see a woman dressed in Puritan-style clothing walking the grounds at night, crying, and many assume this to be the ghost of Mary Dyer.
Why'd she be crying, though?
But I don't think she'd be crying.
I don't think she'd be crying. She's getting her steps. That's it.
No, I think she's just out there looking for justice, protesting.
Yeah.
At no point did Mary shed a tear. She's not that kind of lady.
No.
Yeah,
no.
she's an Alana.
She's fully committed to this.
There's also sightings of two women together in Puritan clothing. In 1894, writer Henry Austen wrote of the White Witch of the Common, who had first been recorded appearing on June 1st of 1750, which is the same day as Mary's execution, just years later, which is why many call Mary an anniversary ghost.
Anniversary ghost.
So I need to go there on June 1st and check it out.
June 1st. All right, let's make it a date. Just come up and I'll meet you there.
Okay, at night.
Oh. Only if you hold my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, these sightings of women dressed in period clothing, there's sometimes just one, there's sometimes two together. And also it's believed that it might not be Mary Dyer, but there's other possibilities of women that it could be.
I mean, yeah, think of how many people died.
Well, decades before the Salem witch trials, Anne Hibbins was executed in the Boston Common for witchcraft.
Uh-oh.
Anne had come to Boston by way of England, just like Mary, with her husband, William. Before marrying William, Anne had been married to another man with the last name of Moore, and they'd had 3 sons together. I assume she was widowed because it's a good bet for the 1600s, but nobody clarified that. I'm going to guess that's what happened. The Hibbins were well off, and Mr. Hibbins was a deputy of the general court and a successful merchant.
Oh.
He had been given 300 acres of land in Boston.
Whoa!
Which is today Brookline. That section.
Can you imagine?
I know, 300 acres. In 1640, the Hibbins were living their lives, and Anne hired some carpenters to do work on their home. Once the work was completed, the carpenters handed Anne a bill which was twice either what they had quoted or what she thought it was worth. Sources go back and forth. And Anne said, "No thanks, you need to fix the bill." They refused. She sued them. The case was tried in court, and the Hibbins actually won the ruling. And the court sided with Anne that the price was incorrect. So it seems like a short story.
Mm-hmm.
A woman who just took care of some business. But this small victory is the start of Anne's undoing. After the case was won, the church had a massive bee in its bonnet about a woman pursuing such matters. In doing so, she had usurped authority.
Ew! That's gross.
Yeah. An article featured on Medium quotes one of the church officials stating, "She stirs in it as if she were able to manage it better than her husband." It goes on to say that the behavior like that is seen as a great aggravation of her sin, in so much that some do think she doth make a wisp of her husband.
Oh,
Me do think she doth make a wisp of her husband. Yeah, because her husband sounds like a wisp.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Hibbins is no Mr. Hutchinson, because he's saying he wished Anne would just hush up about it. Typical 1600s, hubby.
Yeah, thanks.
Other sources say that after the court issue was settled, Anne continued to speak badly of the carpenters and tell lies about them. Which today I'm like, catch a Yelp review and just see how your world explodes, court officials.
Imagine.
And who knows if maybe she was just telling the truth of what happened.
Right.
You know, don't use them. This is what happened. I had to go to court and now the church is all up my butt.
Yeah.
And it was awful. Don't use them. Or who knows? Maybe she was telling lies. We don't know. Either way, it shouldn't matter, is my point. And Anne upset the church so much that she became excommunicated, which is a big deal.
This is the Puritan church?
Yeah, in those days, yeah.
Sound like a bunch of jerks.
And it's a clear turning point to the public opinion of Anne Hibbins. While her husband's alive, she's physically safe. But Mr. Hibbins dies in 1654, and it took only a matter of months before the accusations were thrown in her face. Think about how long that is. That's almost 15 years after this whole court case.
I know.
And people have just been waiting. They're like, that Anne.
Get a life.
She talks, and I dislike it.
Grow some pumpkins.
Grow some pumpkins.
I'm just saying.
Go for a quick walk around the park.
Get
It's beautiful.
Hobby. I hear it's beautiful. Great entertainment around something.
I hear it's beautiful for 20 minutes a day when they're not killing or putting someone in the stocks. Now, Governor Hutchinson, no relation to Anne, he held office decades later, and he looked back on this incident, and his take on it was this, and this is a quote, turbulent and quarrelsome, causing neighbors to accuse her of witchcraft and even the death of her husband.
Okay.
So he's kind of seeing that she was maybe a difficult lady, and the public just was like, we got to get rid of this one. Witchcraft seems the easiest route. This is before all the Salem hysteria. And up until this point, 2 other women had been hanged for witchcraft in Boston, but Anne would be the first executed for witchcraft from that great elm.
Yes.
She was found guilty at her initial trial in 1655, but almost no records exist of any evidence of her trial, none at all, or witnesses called.
Really?
There had to be something. I'm sure it was, whatever it was probably absolutely absurd today.
Oh, of course.
But something was happening. She probably, made a strong tea or touched a child who then became sick. Something that we know today wouldn't be true. In fact, her body was also searched for evidence. Do you remember that? The secrets and all that from the Pendle Hill.
The secrets.
Yeah, that same governor that I quoted before, that was all that's preserved in terms of evidence. And he said, a search was made upon her body for teats,
I do remember this.
and in her chest and boxes for puppets and images, etc. But there is not record of anything of the sort being found. There was no physical evidence, which just means that she didn't have a birthmark or a mole. Really.
People are so stupid.
It's crazy. Probably Anne was just either a complainer or an outspoken woman, or both.
Of course, that's the problem.
That's all it was. Sadly, Anne Hibbins was put to death on June 19th of 1656, and her spirit is thought to also haunt the same grounds as Mary Dyer.
Okay.
But many more will know her name because she was immortalized as a fictional character in Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Well, he based the character on the folklore, not the truth.
Oh, yeah. Not as good.
And Anne Hibbins was not the only woman executed for witchcraft, like I mentioned. Anne Goody Glover met the same fate in 1688.
Great name.
Anne had been born and raised in Ireland, but was sent away as an indentured servant before making her way to Boston with her daughter Mary.
Oh, no.
By 1680, Anne was keeping house and providing childcare for the Goodwin family. John Goodwin was a stonemason. For 8 years, Anne worked for this family. 8 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. That's a good time to know somebody.
Yeah.
In 1688, the oldest daughter accused Anne of stealing. Anne vehemently denied this and argued with the 13-year-old.
A 13-year-old. Oh, boy. Here we go.
Shortly after that, 4 of the 5 Goodwin children became ill.
Uh-oh.
Sick with fever, they were said to start barking and purring like dogs and cats. Obviously, they must be bewitched. Duh.
Oh, no.
Also, what's going on? Because I've had a lot of fevers in my day, and I've never once been like, I feel a little sick. Woof, woof.
Think how bad it could get really bad.
I guess.
I'm sure some plague is going around at that point, right?
That's true. Well, also, there are things, part of the Salem witch trial was because somebody ate some moldy bread, and then they started acting funny.
That would have been me.
Yeah, I love bread. A little mold's not going to bother it. The Puritan minister, Cotton Mather, who would make a mark in history in the Salem witch trials later on, he was very committed to ridding Boston of this evil witch.
Ah!
And so Anne was asked to say the Lord's Prayer as a test of her witchcraft, because if she was a witch, she wouldn't be able to say it.
Oh, God, I can't say it.
She recited it. Well, you're not Catholic.
Yeah.
She recited it in Gaelic.
Wow.
And then attempted it in Latin, but could not fluently recite it in English. They considered this evidence.
What? She can do it in 2 languages. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, but you didn't say.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it. I'm sorry.
Our Father, so get out. By the time they realized she was speaking a different language, they'd already decided that she was either speaking in tongues or the devil's speak.
Oh, boy,
and then somebody from Ireland was like, actually,
there's plenty of Irish there.
Quick question, sir, down in front. She's just speaking Gaelic, so maybe you just want to get an interpreter. So they got an interpreter.
Dumbass.
Yeah, stupid. But then there was some problems with the translation, because Anne admitted that she prayed to, quote, host of spirits.
Uh-oh.
This was taken to mean that she prayed to demons, when in reality, she probably was trying to say the Holy Spirit. And the translation messed it up.
No.
Children had also testified to seeing her flying down chimneys. So that's your evidence. Okay? You got a bunch of kids purring and meowing and being like, I saw her fly down a chimney. And then you have Anne speaking a different language.
Oh, boy.
So that's enough. Okay? She was found guilty and executed on November 16th.
Isn't that why?
It's unbelievable to think of the trauma that this woman is just sitting there living her life for 8 years, working night and day for this family. And then
it's just the lack of law back then. Yeah, that passes for evidence. Checks out. Let's kill her.
Yeah, I know. Now, Anne came onto my radar because she was thought to have been hanged on the same great elm. But many will say that actually she was executed at Holy Cross Cathedral. The fact that they don't even know is
I know.
Is there nobody writing this down? They have pen and paper in the 1600s. Anne's daughter was so devastated by what happened to her mother that she died shortly after of basically a broken heart or a nervous breakdown, something that just affected her too much.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And so many wonder if some of the ghosts that are seen, even though maybe she was not executed in the common, maybe that she's one of the ghosts that people see around Boston. The city of Boston has marked November 16th as Goody Glover Day and officially declared her conviction unjust.
Okay, good.
So at least there's that.
Yeah. This makes me think of all the
Hartford witch trial.
The good people working today to reverse stuff and get pardons and all that. So
it matters because I'm sure she has descendants, but also just...
Yeah, it's lasting impact.
Also just recognizing that was wild.
Yeah, that was wrong.
That wasn't right.
Let's mark that as incorrect.
You probably didn't fly down a chimney. And if you did fly down a chimney, that's amazing. And I want to know how to do it. Where are the what?
The presents.
Where are the presents? Yeah, I know. Yeah, nobody's getting up Santa's face about this. God, sexism at its finest.
It's Mrs. Claus.
She was sweeping the chimneys. She was cleaning it. He's just dropping down there. Rude. Anyway, breaking into homes. So these executions would take place in the Boston Common until 1817.
Jeez, that's a long time.
Yeah. And although this next lady does not have a haunting story associated with her, she became the last female to be executed on the Great Elm. So I wanted to mention her. Rachel Wall ran away from home at a young age, and she married George Wells. Well, is her name Wells then? Probably. That S probably didn't stop.
She's like, I don't want that S.
She's like,
leave it off.
Yeah, 4 letters is all I can handle. No, it's Rachel Wall. Not sure where Wells came from. The two had met in a fairy tale moment when Rachel was down at the harbor. And her and her friends were attacked by what? I don't know. They didn't say. I assume men because not bears. But who knows? It could have been a rogue animal. George stepped in and saved her. Oh. Love at first sight. Yuck. The newlyweds moved to Boston, where George found work as a sailor. Rachel was a domestic servant.
Uh-oh.
Maybe not the fairy tale they were hoping for. We've all seen Cinderella. She got a castle. What the heck happened here? So they had a plan to make a better life for themselves. With a group of sailors that George knew, they formed a crew that waited for storms. And then once the storms had passed, they would make their ship appear as though it had survived the storm. And when innocent ships would pass by, Rachel would yell for help.
Oh, no.
So the ship would
They're
anchor.
pirates.
Yeah, they are. They would
Oh my God.
climb on and then they would rob the ship. This led to the robbery of 12 ships and the death of 24 sailors.
Wow. That's productive.
Yeah, I guess. After that, Rachel resorted to just stealing from dock ships, retelling a tale of stealing 30 pounds from under the pillow of a sleeping captain. Seems
Wow.
so wild and dangerous. Also, that captain must sleep like Brad, because how are you not feeling that?
Probably was on 6 liters of whiskey.
That's true. That's true. She also helped break George out of jail once by literally baking him something with tools inside it.
I love her. I
Yeah.
mean, don't kill people, but
Yeah, find your line. But it wasn't her nefarious pirate adventures that led to her execution. In March of 1789, Rachel saw a bonnet that she just had to have, and she ripped it off the head of 17-year-old Margaret Bender.
Oh, okay. No, that's not very subtle.
And yeah, Margaret got hurt in the attack.
Oh.
I mean, she's fine. Well, she's not now. She's dead. But she was fine. She had like a bloody lip.
Not a vampire.
Being her third offense of theft, Rachel had been sentenced to death.
Whoa.
Yeah. 3 strikes and you're literally out. Previously, on both accounts, she'd received 15 lashes and 3 years of servitude when she could not pay the fine.
Oh, God.
Are you kidding me? That is harsh.
That's really harsh.
Very
Not harsh enough for
harsh.
her, though.
This is crazy. But in a rare case of equality, in a weird, twisted sense, Rachel was actually tried the same as 2 other men accused of the same crime, which was not typically the case because women were often allotted more mercy because they were the gentler, fairer, weaker.
The delicate sex.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're so delicate.
We're delicate.
But more likely, her known exploits as a pirate had something to do with this, and they wanted to make an example of her. Also, like I said, Miss Bender had been assaulted during the robbery. Rachel was put to death October 8th of 1789. Her last words were recorded as, "Into the hands of the Almighty God, I commit my soul, relying on his mercy, and die an unworthy member of the Presbyterian Church in the 29th year of my age."
Martha Wells. Nope. Rachel Wells.
Wall. Rachel Wall. Not only was Rachel the last woman to be executed in the Boston Common, she was also, along with the other 2 men, the last one to be executed for theft. So they made some adjustments.
I see.
It's wild to think that these are adjustments that need to be made, but these people losing their lives are actually facilitating change.
Yeah.
In a very gruesome, gross way. Just like Mary Dyer, suddenly that mandate came down. Hey, you got to stop killing people who aren't the same religion as you.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. Now, the great elm that witnessed the final breath of Mary Dyer, Ann Hibbins, Rachel Wall, possibly Ann Glover, would fall victim to Mother Nature in 1876.
Oh, hurricane?
Yeah. Storm annihilated it, knocked it right down. I think Mother Nature was like, all right, I thought you'd be a little quicker on this, but you're killing me. I'm just going to knock it down.
Yeah, we're not. We're done. We've done enough here.
Find somewhere else, okay? This is a park. Get out of here.
This is a public park, you fucking weirdos.
Yeah. The history of this is wild. So in addition to just random bodies being put there, they also had a mass execution of 50 indigenous people during a wartime. I know, and I couldn't find a list of if any of those were female because I wanted to cover one of them if they were.
Man.
I assume that the people who were executed were also buried there.
Yeah.
That group is probably buried there.
What a mess of a grave.
Plus people who worth stealing are probably buried there. People, when they had a plague come through.
That's terrifying.
They were buried there. And it's wild. If you go today,
bad
it's
vibes.
Like a mini Central Park.
Ew. But not good.
I mean, it looks beautiful now. There's statues.
What lies beneath?
Yeah,
that movie?
Exactly. Well, here you go.
Oh, no.
Now, if you don't believe the Boston Common is haunted, directly next to the Common is the Central Burying Ground, which was established before Rachel's execution in 1756. It was not considered the most desirable final resting place and was mostly used to bury British common soldiers who died during the Revolutionary War or people from illness or soldiers who died of illness. Before that, it was used to bury immigrants and Catholics.
Of course.
And a lot of the names and markers have sadly been lost to time because they would bury 4 to 5 people in one grave and sometimes would only have one marker for one of the people or no marker at all.
Yeah, it's not surprising. It's
But
not good vibes.
in the late 1800s, The population of Boston was at an all-time high, and the streets were getting very crowded.
It's the Irish.
So they decided to build an underground subway. This was not the most popular choice because underground tunnels led to superstitious beliefs of death and the underworld and feared it would be unsafe and unsanitary. So the public was like, I don't know. And 12,000 signatures were actually collected against it, saying we don't
Jeez.
want to go underground. But construction proceeded, which required a line to cut across a portion of the central burying ground. So they knew they were going to have to move a few graves.
Okay.
As the construction site started near the cemetery, a local medical student was walking through the work zone and he heard a loud crack
No, it's a
and
bone.
he felt something snap beneath his foot. He immediately recognized a femur bone. Over the next 7 months, an estimated 1,000 bodies were discovered.
Bro,
75
I'd quit.
75 boxes were used to place just a random assortment of bones.
No, I'm out. I need
Which
another
they
job.
then buried in a mass grave on the side of the cemetery closest to the Boston Common.
What?
A single stone reads, "Here were reinterred the remains of persons found under the Boylston Street Mall during the digging of the subway 1895.
Fuck.
So this is not helping.
No.
People are saying, give me that petition, I'll sign now, you know?
Yeah.
But then in 1897, before the line officially opened, a gas leak and a spark caused an explosion, killing 10 people. Today, that stretch of tunnel is said to be haunted. And there are sightings of a British redcoat soldier as well by the central burying grounds because that's thought to be most of whom the bones and graves belong to.
See.
Those who visit the cemetery report flashes of light and the feeling that someone is standing next to them, along with weight of sadness.
I mean, you're in a cemetery.
Some even report being touched by a person that is not there when they turn around.
I punch.
And multiple people have seen a woman with long red hair appear in the cemetery only to vanish.
Sing me a song. Sorry.
Yeah. We went to that cemetery and we were walking on what I did not know was the mass grave. And as we were doing it, this woman who was walking on the outside of the cemetery stopped dead in her tracks. I swear, you don't believe me?
No, keep going.
She stopped dead in her tracks, turned, leaned over the fence, and said, "Hey." And we looked at her, and I thought, oh man, are we not supposed to be in here? And she said, "Please say a prayer before you leave here." And I said, "Okay." And then she walked away. And so you better believe
She had red hair?
She did not. She had black hair. I said a prayer. My son said a prayer. Brad laughed it off like you're doing right now. And then Brad immediately had his back go out for the rest of the entire trip and lost his appetite. Which is wild.
That is wild.
I've seen this man have the stomach bug and be like, oh, I just need a little something, and then eat a hamburger. So I said, you should have said a prayer. I don't know what to tell you. The lady told us, I followed directions. You got problems. And he had a tough time.
Could you just do whatever prayer you wanted?
I mean, she didn't give me a manual. Yeah. I mean, I said some things like, hey, you stay here. I'm going to go. Y'all stay here. You can't follow me. And then I asked for some protection and some light and like the best of luck to everybody who's in there. I hope you go towards the light. You know what I mean? Brad did not. And then Brad paid the price. So that's my experience of the central burying grounds.
That's amazing.
On day 3, I literally said to him, you didn't say a prayer, so I don't want to hear it anymore. And I said, so you better say one now. I don't know if he did, but.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Anyway.
Wow. That's powerful.
There you go. Boston Common. Go check it out. I mean, honestly, though, it is an unbelievable historical mess. So, I mean, go pay tribute to Mary Dyer's stone. I mean, Anne Hibbins, Goody Glover Day. There's also a plaque at the cathedral, which they think might have been her real place of execution. Okay. So there are places you can visit.
God, you could probably spend like so much time there and still have more to look at.
Oh gosh, yeah. And you can go to the cemetery if you. We did.
I can only do it during the day.
Nobody else was there. Let's just put it that way.
There's gotta be some real conditions around that. Like I can't sleep alone that night. Like we gotta gotta really tighten that ship.
We will be holding hands for a
Yes.
24-hour period.
Correct.
Which is such a funny thought. I mean, you're just like, I'm in my 30s, but I'm gonna need you to hold my hand. Thanks.
Correct. Oh my God. I am going to a haunted house next week.
Why and with who?
I know, right? With my coworkers. And I was like, I'm really not good at these things.
No, you're not. But you don't necessarily scare easy in terms of being... I startle easy. Haunted houses are rough for me. Okay? Rough.
Someone just shows up next to her, she will jump out of her chair.
I mean, through the roof. But I like them because I kind of know something's going to happen, so it's okay.
I am so bad.
How bad is it? Because if they have really scary masks, and that will scare you.
Well, I told them I'm really, really bad. I'm really bad at it, and they might need to hold my hand too.
That's not going to matter to them. That's who you want to go through a haunted house with. That's hilarious and fun.
Fuck. And you know what happens? I've discovered this when I went to Universal. Once the people who work there know.
They prey on you.
But like, I've almost hit them before, so I need to work on that impulse.
That's what I would be more worried about, honestly.
Yeah,
is them
I gotta keep
sneaking
my
up behind you.
Yeah, and just like turning around with a right hook. It's like,
yes, that I think that's more likely.
I'm in jail. You gotta bail me out this week.
Well, let me know. I'll come get you.
Oh God. Anyways.
If I get that call from where you're traveling, right?
Yeah,
So when if I get that call from the state police, I'll be you don't have to even mention it. Did she punch somebody in a zombie mask?
Yeah, that's it. It's be a zombie.
Yeah,
it would be
I knew it. Yeah, I'll probably say zombie or clown mask. Which one got her? Yeah. All right. I'll be right there. How much is bail? That's very likely.
Oh, anyways, so R.I.P. me.
Yeah, you and the zombie man, the poor gentleman who's getting paid $12 an hour to scare people. That's not in his workers' comp.
No, it's not.
Ugh. Well, just keep your fists by your side.
I know. Impulse control.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are your last words? What do you think of all this?
I think it's fascinating. I know I don't believe in ghosts.
But if there were a place that had ghosts, come on now.
But I don't really believe in ghosts. It's just the vibes, you know? Like, some places don't feel good, and I want to leave immediately.
This place didn't feel bad. The cemetery, not as great.
Yeah.
The Boston Common didn't feel bad. I was surprised to learn all that. But at night, it did look a little eerie.
I can't imagine being there at night. I would poop my pants.
I'm not cleaning that up. You're on your own.
I think it's just really fascinating. Obviously, let's learn from the past and do your history reading. And, you know, let's use education and not use fear and ignorance to make decisions.
Yeah. Science is cool.
Science is really cool.
That's the part I don't get. If you are a religious person, don't you think God's up there being like, gosh, when are you guys going to figure it out? Like, there's something, I've invented something called DNA. Like, find it. Let's go.
One of my old schoolmates from college, who is, I went to a Catholic school, which is a hilarious, wild thing just in itself. But he was a physics major, and he's like, the more I learn about physics, the more I believe in God.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's like God's just being patient, waiting for us to find our way. We're the ones over there being like, she speaks a different language. Evidence.
Off of their head.
Yeah. Oh, 4-year-olds are fly through a chimney. We don't have electricity, so we also think cows are goats and that Jebediah turned into a squirrel, but it's because we can't see good at night.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
That's probably how that song started.
Yeah. Science rules.
What bothers me is that I don't know about these women just off the top of my head. I mean, that I guess maybe I'm not the best subject for that because I don't know about a lot of things. Like, who's George Washington? But
I know about Martha, I'll tell you that.
Martha Washington. She's saying this because Brad had never seen a picture of Martha Washington, and she showed him, and he said, what did he say? He said, he totally straight-faced said, she's smoking. And she had that wig on. And so now I get random pictures of Martha Washington, who's like an elderly woman in her picture taking days with a ridiculous curly wig. Anyway, yeah, we know about Martha pretty pretty solidly. But no, there actually is a statue of George Washington in the Boston Common, by the way.
Good job,
And
George.
I do know who he is. But I'm saying, how are these women not
Yeah.
celebrated
No, I know
in
what you
history or
mean.
talked about?
Yeah.
These poor women who are just living their lives, especially Anne Glover.
Yes.
She's just working her butt off trying to survive.
Seriously, freaking indentured servitude is one of the worst things.
I know. And Anne Hibbins was probably just Yelp's like
1 star.
perfect customer.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Awful.
And she was just taking care of business. And they sided with her. They were like, yeah, this is wild, carpenter man. This is a wild estimate and assessment. You should not be charging this much. Because she was a woman, she doth make a wisp of thy husband.
Yep. Wild stuff.
Anyway, and then Mary Dyer preparing and totally willing to sacrifice her life to make a point
so inspiring.
that would help others.
So inspiring. I love that commitment. Be committed to your cause.
There's no way that ghost crying is her.
No, she's not fucking crying.
No.
She's like, I'm glad I died for what I believed in. Period.
Yeah.
Hair flip. Walking away.
Yeah. I bet she had a wild Puritan hair flip with that bun. It all came cascading down and she threw him the finger.
Love it.
All right. Well, she probably didn't because she seems like a very nice lady in the sense of she would not be that extreme in those days.
Yeah, fair.
What would happen if you flipped someone off in the 1600s? Is that even a thing yet?
I feel like it's maybe one of the under the chins or like there's definitely signals for it back then.
I think she was very
proper
in a way that would try to make a point because she didn't want it to take away from her message.
Yeah, don't distract away from the cause.
But anyway, remember these women, maybe go by and check it out. Maybe at night, maybe June 1st. If you do go into the cemetery, go on and say a prayer, or you're going to have your back go out and not have an appetite. So it's on you, you know? All right, who should listen?
Funny. Americans, Irish, English, ghosts. Let's throw in some Outlander fans and Gravediggers. Still appreciate you.
I like that you brought Gravediggers. I can't say Gravediggers. Gravediggers back into the action. It must be easier these days, though. They must have a machine.
They probably have a tractor thing.
Probably not a tractor, but maybe
maybe that's too
something that scoops dirt. We're just gonna ride over this plot of grass. Eventually, it'll wear it down. Yeah, something with a bucket. All right. Well, that's it for spooky season.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Next time we come back, we'll have just no ghosts, a boring old true crime.
Boring.
But you can find us on all the socials at
Tea Time Crimes. Give us a shout out at Tea Time Crimes.
Okay. You can email us at
teatimecrimes@gmail.com.
Please rate, review, like, subscribe, send us recommendation for teas and crimes, and maybe maple syrup.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be back soon. Bye-bye.
Tots.
Tots out.
Tots out, baby.